Good morning, this is JJ from Akuma Kaizen, and today I'm going to be talking about mechanical advantage. Now, I know I talked about this before, but I want to clarify a little bit more about this because a lot of people don't understand mechanical advantage is a spectrum. All right, they think mechanical advantage is just this is the only way to throw it. This is I have to throw it this only way, and then again, this is why schools get into that whole scenario of like your teacher taught you wrong. Right? It's not that they taught you wrong, it's just that they taught you differently. And if you understand that mechanical advantage is a spectrum, just like full range of motion in working out, you'll know that sometimes when you're tired, that full range of motion starts to lessen. The same thing happens, but on a more intentional basis in martial arts, right? So when we're coming up for, say, a jab, I like using the jab as an example because the way that I teach the jab, I like to add a mechanical advantage to increase power, right? But most schools, when they teach that jab, if it's not a boxing school, they'll just be, this is their jab, just straight out. All this is doing is purely arm. I've got no pivot, I've got no torque, nothing. I'm not flaring my heel. I have almost no mechanical advantage other than my arm. I'm not stacking to increase my power, to increase how strong this is going to be, and I'm relying so much more on the speed of my hand to come out, right, to make a difference on this. Now, that can still be used in sparring or on the street to like catch your opponent off guard. It's still usable. All right, so the way I teach my jab to my students is I'll actually flare the heel and turn. So instead of just boom, I'll actually add power and actually turn it out. If you're turning it out, now I have more centrifugal force coming out this way. I have that pivot, I have that turn, I have that heel flare, and I'm moving. I'm not relying purely on my arm to get that penetration, to get that power here. I even get a little more distance, just a tad, without compromising my shoulder. Okay? That is one of the examples to see how mechanical advantage, the mechanical advantage is a spectrum. Another way that we can see that is where we break down mechanical advantage and again spectrum. If my target is covered, we have something called a point of origin shot. Right? A point of origin strike is something where I'm going to move not necessarily from a position of cover, but from a different position that my hand is in. So if my target's covered here, I might have to come down, parry, and then move in for this strike. Now I took a step forward. Again, that's something that is a mechanical advantage to add power to that strike. What if I didn't? Boom. I just stepped forward anyway. Boom. Right? If I'm here, this here gets into the face of my opponent, which might set me up for power strike coming in, or low, or whichever way you want to run it. Okay? That right there, point of origin strike. I was not in a position to cover. I was not stacking all this from here to get the maximum full range of motion for that. I came from right here and moved in. I naturally automatically want to feel like I have to step forward to penetrate and to get that distance. Now, I can do it off the backhand too. And say I am starting from here. 1, 2. Okay? Parry down. I have to be more forward for this. Down and straight. Okay? Now if I stack that, say if they're close, and we're getting into a lot more close fighting here, that short range, right? I can come in, boom, and turn it out this way. This also leaves me for an option to move out and move away. Okay? So different uses for that, and a mechanical advantage for going into that runner stance if I need to retreat or set up a back kick, a side kick from there to get distance. All these things matter. Now, the same thing applies for kicks. All right? In kicks, we have something called the liver kick, which is kind of like this, or uprising kick, or liver kick, uprising kick, which comes up at this angle. Now, a lot of times when we're coming up at that angle, it's not the most mechanically advantageous move, but it is meant to sneak right underneath the elbow into that liver or that floating rib as it comes up. It's fast and it's sneaky. So it comes straight up from here, all right? It It's not necessarily a lot of power, and you don't necessarily need a lot of power for this, but you need to be fast. If they see that coming in, as if a regular roundhouse, they might drop that elbow, and you're gonna crack that shin or your ankle right on their elbow, and it's gonna hurt. Okay, so it needs to be fast. Boom, out. Now you see, I got 2 shoulders forward, 2 hips forward in this on that liver kick, but I'm still coming up at this angle, cutting. All right, this is very different than a roundhouse kick, where I have full power and full mechanical advantage to stack to for power, right? And Muay Thai does this a lot better, but they'll actually step out with that step, turn, and turn the hips all the way over. Again, your hips are your powerhouse, okay? When you start utilizing your hips a lot more into your strikes, you're gonna get more power, all right? In and out. Thank you. So, again, this is where a lot of school owners and teachers get mixed up. They like to talk crap about other schools saying, oh, they touch you wrong, all right? It has to be done this way. No, it doesn't. What they're failing to realize is these different styles of teaching the same move is stacking, or they're stacking mechanical advantages to whatever they were taught. All right, might be for show, might be for actual like ring bouts, right? Could be for the street, could be trying to hide a strike. But you need to know, as a school owner and a teacher, you need to know which ones you're doing and why, right? Those details are what's going to make you great and your students great, because the devil's in the details. You have to know those things. Even if your students don't know it and you're not into teaching your students why, you need to know. So know those little details on why you're stacking mechanical advantages, say for power, for speed, right? And remember, it's not that it's taught wrong, it's just taught differently. And then last note on that, the only time that it is actually wrong, a technique is wrong, is when you will physically get somebody hurt when they execute it. For example, making a fist with the thumb inside, or letting that go. That's just as bad. You don't correct your students when they do this, right? That's just as bad as teaching them this, because they are reinforcing this over and over and over again. Fix it, all right? Every time you see it, take a thumbs out, take a thumbs out, take a thumbs out. It doesn't take that much time to do that. I do that with my students all the time, because they're just like, oh, okay, and they'll do it, and sometimes it takes 3 or 4 times, but then they'll do it for the rest of the class. And then the next class, they'll come in 2 days later and they're back to this. Keep getting them to go here. But like I said, this is that exception. This will hurt somebody. So this is a wrong technique, okay? But again, learn the mechanical advantage, learn those details, and know why you're teaching your students what you're teaching. All right, have a good one.